Hello, friends around the world. This is Will Barney with another global update here on March 12th, Thursday. As we look at many of the happenings around the world, we want to give a report on the things that we're seeing. And as we look forward to events of freedom and prosperity and what's coming later in the year, there's a lot of things transpiring right now that are walking us in that path to that goal. So we wanted to highlight some of those things that we have witnessed over the last week, touch on the things that we think are significant that'll kind of help you navigate the storm, because the storm is raging right now and we want you to be calm and collected because we are walking our way through this. And so we've got a lot to discuss. Last week we talked about how March Madness was beginning. This week our title is The Madness Marches On. So it is continuing. We're going to touch on a few of those things today that have continued from last week. Also, several new things that have come up. So let's get to the U.S. debt clock first. They posted this image. You can see on March 11th, the American ownership restored. This was yesterday. 100% reserved, asset-backed dollar, and a very beautiful image there talking about what's coming. So we're going to get an asset-backed dollar. We're expecting this to roll out later this year, and that'll be issued by the Treasury debt clock, giving us these messages, letting us know what's coming. They also posted this on March 9th, a few days earlier, universal high income. The USA Treasury asset-backed dividend dollar, and then of course at the bottom we got X's through the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve fiat system. So what does this mean? What does universal high income mean? It doesn't mean universal basic income or high basic income. That word doesn't appear there. It's universal high income. What it means is that everyone will prosper sufficiently that high incomes will be the norm, and there will be a lot of changes that will occur where working will be not a necessity of absolute existence, and people will begin to choose the things that they want to do with their life. This is good because it allows us to pursue the passions that we all have, and that's when we give our best selves to each other. So I wanted to show a couple things from Elon Musk. I usually don't show much from Elon, but there's a couple things he posted. This goes back on January 20th. Elon Musk says Tesla's mission is to build universal high income. Well, what does this mean? What does it look like? We're going to take a look at this quick video.
Now, I do think there's perhaps still a role for humans in that we may give AI meaning.
So, what's the best future you can imagine? Because we want to try to make that future. That means it's time to update our mission. What's key to that is robotics and AI. Have you tried self-driving? That's a profound thing. Nothing like that has ever happened before. My prediction is that Optimus will be the biggest product of all time. And also space travel, let's not forget that. No, I do think in a positive AI future that there will be no shortage of goods and services. So it won't be universal basic income, it'll be universal high income. Now that all sounds good, but in terms of like the book Man's Search for Meaning, well, if to the degree that you're defined by your career, you may have trouble finding meaning in life. It's like, well, how can I do anything useful if the computer can do everything better than me? That'll really be the challenge. Now maybe that'll be fine. Maybe you just play, watch incredible movies, play video games, and do water sports, and Computer just does everything else. I guess that's the benign scenario. Have you read Ian Banks?
No.
I highly recommend Ian Banks' the culture books. It's probably the best semi-utopian future of AI, where the computers are far smarter than humans, but they take care of the humans. Like they care about the humans being.
Very interesting what he's talking about there with high income. We do know that a great amount of prosperity and abundance is going to be released with the new currency, which is going to be a jumpstart in all of that. But as you see, the things he's talking about, autonomous driving, cars and robots, it sounds a little bit like the Jetsons, yet that could be a future where we have these appliances that make our life easier and can take care of things for us as we need them to. Moving on to other financial news, Stern Drew posted this. JP Morgan isn't just involved in a $328 million crypto Ponzi. They were the essential pipeline that made the whole scam possible. Let's call it what it is. Goliath Ventures didn't steal $328 million from 2,000 trusting people by magic. They did it because they're the world's largest bank. So, and of course, you can see a copy there of the lawsuit. So, JP Morgan in trouble. And of course, they're also being sued simultaneously by Donald Trump for being debanked when they shut down the bank accounts of him and his companies several years ago. So JP Morgan is in trouble here. They're having to answer for some things. Moving on to the silver topic, we've been covering this quite extensively, so I'm not going to dwell on it a lot today. Last week, as we launched into March, we saw some very interesting things happen. That last week of February, as we got into the few days before March delivery notices were to be issued, we saw an interesting phenomenon where the COMEX literally shut down for an hour and a half on silver. And then when it came back up, there was a lot of contracts that were missing, and many had been moved to May. So somebody was doing some real shuffling during that, glitch, if you will, and looks very different. So if you look at this, a silver trade posted this, another 217,000 ounces removed from the COMEX silver vaults Wednesday. As we went into March, we had about 89 million ounces of registered silver that was in the what's considered registered inventory. However, there's been major withdrawals over the last 10 days, 12 days. Against this, we are now over 30 million in withdrawals. February had 25 million in total. So we've already eclipsed February, and we're only at the 12th of March. This means that in spite of the moving of contracts down the road for another 60 days, there's still massive drains that are going on against the inventory. We're going to have to see how this plays out, because it looks like a day of reckoning is going to be coming come May, where there's not going to be enough inventory to satisfy those standing for delivery. So we're going to keep an eye on that very closely. This is a chart of the current silver price today. As of this afternoon, it was $84.14. Excuse me. Went too fast there. And if you look at the chart, this is a 3-month chart to the side there. And you can see how we just drove really high during January. And it dropped like a rock right at the end of January into the early February. And where we saw massive sell-off that we now know was done by spoofing. Spoofing is where you have people put out sell orders saying that they're selling, and massive selling then would trigger algorithms that then launch other people selling, and you create this basically an uncontrolled avalanche where it all comes down. And that's what you see on the chart, where it just drove straight down. When it hit the bottom, you had a lot of shorts that unloaded and got out of the way. And as you can see, we've kind of been up and down a little bit since then. And each time it starts to get above or close to $90, they start batting it back down again. What this seems to be an indication of is that there's still a lot of short positions that are trying to get out before it's called. And this seems to be something that we will probably see just a little longer. A month ago, we reported that in the Minerals Ministerial held in early February, the 54 nations came together and they had discussions about putting price floors on minerals, and silver was the top of the minerals list of the critical minerals. So we know that price floors are coming, and that price floor is going to be moving the price up to a number where it becomes economical for miners to get it out of the ground and to deliver it, particularly for all these high-tech needs, like a lot of stuff Elon's building that takes a lot of silver in those cars and those equipment. So we've been consuming 60 to 64% of our entire global output every year is now going to industrial purposes. So this means that it's all being consumed by various manufacturing processes, whether it be solar panels, batteries, cars, circuit boards, etc. And that means it's not just sitting in a vault somewhere that we can pull on later or get somebody to sell it to us later. Consumption is a big deal. And when the majority of what we're mining is all being consumed, we have some challenges if we don't bring more mining activity online. So watch for price floors to kick in at some point, making it possible for this mining to kick into high gear. We will probably also see fast tracking of mining permits to allow a quick extraction. Rapid Response posted this, Commodities Futures Trading Commission Chairman Siegel on blockchain prediction markets. So let's listen to what he had to say.
Today, we're taking action by coming out with some clear guidance that will help our exchanges, which really are the first line of defense. Our exchanges self-certify contracts and have their own rule books, and they need to be understanding of what the CFTC's expectations are. So we're going to put that out in clear text for them to follow. And we're also going to be coming out later today with an advance notice of proposed rulemaking. We intend to set clear rules of the road for this new asset class and these new markets. And it's really important that we don't have manipulation and insider trading and all sorts of abuse in our derivatives markets. And so we're going to take on the responsibility of making sure that there are clear rules of the road for these new asset classes.
So this is kind of a big deal because the biggest challenge is with moving into the digital realm and getting into blockchain and distributed ledger technology was that it always seemed a bit ambiguous. Part of the ambiguity comes from the fact that we're still waiting for the Clarity Act to pass, which is supposed to give us clear by law rules of the road through Congress and the president. So we're waiting for that still to be passed. We do hope that we see that Clarity Act passed within the next 30 days. Hopefully by the time we get to the middle of April, we are there and no later then, which paves the way for the use of blockchain on a broader scale, for instance, which includes introducing new currency. So there's a lot of work being done to make it very clear to the industry, this is the rules, this is what we're expecting you to do, and we want everybody to stay within the guardrails of this. So it's good that we're seeing the CFTC chairman making this clear. Some news from Ripple. Ripple has kicked off a share buyback that would value the company at $50 billion, cementing it as one of the most valuable digital asset firms at the moment of uncertainty for the cryptocurrency sector. So they did a $750 million share buyback, pretty phenomenal, and which is only increasing their valuation, as you can see from Bloomberg there. Donald Trump had posted this. Where is the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome? Too late, in quotes, Powell. Today, he should be dropping interest rates immediately, not waiting for the next meeting. President Donald J. Trump. Of course, he continues to harp on Jerome Powell, and Jerome Powell continues to be too late. So very fascinating to me how Jerome continues to do exactly what Donald Trump says he's doing. And I'll just leave that there. Over last weekend on Saturday, we had a very interesting event occur where we had the unveiling of the Shield of the Americas. This was a coalition of countries that have come together to stomp out the cartels and the criminal activity that's been going on through in many countries, South and Central America. where these drug cartels have been running rampant. So countries are coming together, they're banding together to work together militarily to cleanse the Western Hemisphere of this problem. And we can see another picture here of all of those nations. I was surprised that Mexico wasn't there. I guess they don't want to clear out the cartels just yet, but we'll take a look and see. Mexico says they're taking care of the job themselves, but I have a feeling they may need some assistance. So we'll see if they join the coalition. They did sign the charter for this, so it's officially formed and ready to go. And you can see all these leaders of these nations smiling there as they're banding together for law and order and the protection of their country. The Babylon Bee posted this, and I couldn't help but chuckle because it was, well, it's kind of funny when you look at it. Iran asked Democrats for tips on running the country with a dead leader. And of course, it's got a picture of Biden next to the next to the Iranian leader, as if they're both dead. Okay. Babylon Bee always throwing some humor in there so that we have something to laugh about. And I do appreciate the fact that they keep us laughing from time to time. Eric Daugherty posted this. Just in, the White House drops a badass footage of every member of the Iranian Islamic regime should watch. So I want to bring this up and let's take a look at it full screen.
On the orders of the President of the United States, U.S. Central Command commences Operation Epic Fury.
I'm gonna shoot you right down.
This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
He reminded the world, as he has time and time again, being an American means something unbreakable. If you kill Americans, if you threaten Americans anywhere on earth, we will hunt you down without apology and without hesitation, and we will kill you. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. Their war on Americans has become our retribution against their
Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. This is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them. The president made the decision to go after them, take away their missiles, take away their navy, take away their drones, take away their ability to make those things so that they can never have a nuclear weapon.
Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
Boom, boom, boom.
So the White House posting this. There are several key points in that video. I wanted to play the whole thing so you could see it. One is, it says, we didn't start this war, but under Donald Trump, we are going to finish it. What are they talking about, this war? And a lot of people are saying, well, hey, Iran didn't attack us. I talked about this last week in our update, but all of these countries that you're seeing on the list right now, Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, cartels of Mexico, they all have one thing in common. They're all run by a criminal syndicate who is trying to cause chaos and control around the world. It is the cabal that's running these nations, clearly. So they have been at war with us to enslave us financially and to eventually get us to the place where we own nothing and we think we are happy. Okay, so there's a lot of meaning inside it that goes beyond the Iranian conflict. We are stomping out their military might. Why? Because this is a private military army. If you look at the cartels of Mexico, they are running with military armament. Who gave them this equipment? Where did they get this capability to have military control? It is very important that we finish this military kinetic aggression to remove the threat. If we don't remove the threat, we can't get to a place of financial reset. When we get to the financial reset, their whole system comes down. And what's important is if they are still holding military equipment, they could be hitting us with that equipment when we go to change financial systems. So it's important we get this done now. We get this finished. Patriots would like all this done before Easter, but let's see how it rolls. Okay. It's not a date-driven event. It's about how quickly can we get these items off the table so that we can move on to the next things. If we can finish all of the military kinetic activity and operations within the first quarter of the year, which ends the end of this month, then we've got a good chance in the second quarter to do the setup for the reset and get things accomplished hopefully by the 4th of July. So I think we're making great strides, and there's a lot going on that's getting us there. And so pleased to see that we're making progress this week. I've got a little video here. This is from General Raising Cane, and he had a few things to say. Let's take a listen.
Coordinated space and cyber operations effectively disrupted communications and sensor networks across the area of responsibility, leaving the adversary without the ability to see, coordinate, or respond effectively.
He said some interesting things in that brief statement. Now, he is the head of the Joint Chiefs. What does that mean? It means that underneath the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, stands this man who coordinates with all of the branches of military in a cohesive manner for these operations. Okay. He said that we are taking down their ability to even see what we're doing. So they're dismantling the satellite networks and all of that. This is about removing military equipment that can be used to hurt us as we try to declare our freedom from the financial tyranny. So very important what's going on here. And there is locations in multiples of countries where this private militarized armament has been built up. So we're having to neutralize that now so that we've got a path forward. So really interesting what's going on here. This cartoon came out, which I thought was very fitting. If you take a look at it, no. Let me tell you why Trump freeing you from a dictatorship was bad. I know more than you and your lived experience. Of course, it's got one of these purple-haired people with LGBTQ symbols on their clothing, telling the Iranian women, don't listen to that. Don't talk about how your freedom is good because Trump is bad. Trump deranged syndrome is real, and this cartoon that's coming out is pretty much evidence of that, right? Trump derangement syndrome all over the place. Donald Trump posted this. The United Kingdom, our once great ally, maybe the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. That's okay, Prime Minister Starmer. We don't need them any longer. But we will remember, we don't need people that join wars after we've already won. President Donald J. Trump. Very fascinating, right? Trump's not too happy with Keir Starmer right now. Why? Because we had to shut down a movement of ships through the Strait. Everybody's been talking about how the Strait of Hormuz got shut down. How did that happen? It didn't happen by Iran, and it didn't happen by the U.S. It happened because Lloyd's of London canceled all of the insurance contracts on those vessels, and they had to go into anchor until they can get insurance again to finish the rest of their journey. So Donald Trump did correct this. He did come out with the Development Corporation put a backstop of insurance out there so we can get all those vessels moving. We are not yet escorting ships through the strait as Trump said that we could do, but that is coming because I think there's plans to do that once the militarized stuff is calmed down. We've sunk over 40 military ships, Iranian military ships. So it's getting safer with every day. And soon the existing Navy that we have there can then begin escorting these ships through so we can get oil delivered where it needs to go. Gateway Pundit put out this. Trump, we know where most of the Iranian terror cells are located. We have our eyes on all of them, right? And they've got a little video here. This was a brief press conference he did with the press as he was coming back from Kentucky. This is very interesting. Why? Because what he's talking about is terror cells that are already infiltrated within the United States that could then carry out operations. What he's saying is we have people infiltrated into those groups. We know what they're doing and where they are. This has been planned out a long time ago to get to this point. You're watching the art of war being played by this commander-in-chief, and he's doing an incredible job of this. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be careful. We should always be careful. We need to stay out of harm's way as this comes down. Of course, Babylon Bee. Oh, I must have had that in there twice. Well, it's funny anyway, right? I thought that was great. Now, this cartoon came up, and of course, here you go. It says, Señor Presidente, estamos bien? And of course, you got the Republic of Cuba back there. So Cuba sweating as they see what's going on in Iran, right? What's going to happen here? Cuba's next up on the deck. I wanted to show this picture because we're going to start hearing about Cuba a lot over the next week. There's a lot going on there. Now, before I get to some of the rest of the information today, I wanted to kind of interrupt this point to show you a little video. It's very short. It's not very long. But this professor makes a very valid point. During COVID and other such operations, we saw some very interesting things occurring, and many people all over the world have had issues with this, where censorship was occurring, where injustices were occurring, and nobody said anything because they were afraid they were going to be the next to be censored or something, right? But that isn't how we put down tyranny. We don't put down tyranny by being quiet. Take a look at this brief skit. I'm going to call it a skit, and see if it doesn't move you like it did me.
You there, second desk, blue jacket. What is your name?
My name is Alexis.
Alexis, please leave my lecture room. I don't want to see you at one of my lectures ever again.
I don't understand.
I am not going to ask a second time. Thank you. Why are there laws? What are laws for? Anyone?
Social order.
To protect the person's personal rights.
So that you can rely on the government.
Justice? Thank you. Tell me, was I unfair to your classmate just now? Indeed I was. So, why didn't any of you protest? Why didn't any of you try and stop me? Why didn't you want to prevent this injustice? You see, what you have just learnt, you wouldn't have understood in 1,000 hours of lectures unless you lived it. You didn't say anything because you weren't affected yourself. And this attitude speaks against you and against life. You think it doesn't concern you, so it's none of your business? Well, I'm here to say, if you don't help bring about justice, then one day you too may experience injustice, and there will be nobody there to stand before you.
Very valid point. It takes all of us standing up and standing in a place of truth and justice for each other. We've lived through incredible things. We've had tyranny playing out in many countries. And I could list the names of the countries. It's shocking to me the things that were going on in the UK, still going on, in France, in Australia, in New Zealand. I'm just touching a few. This was going on everywhere. It's time for us to stand as a people. Q said, where we go one, we go all. And it means that we all need to stand up for freedom and for justice for one another. So thank you for taking a few minutes with me to watch that. The head of the SBA, that's a Small Business Administration in the United States, said this. Today, the SBA has announced a new policy that will ban foreign nationals and all non-citizens from accessing SBA, which is Small Business Administration-backed loans, business loans. This is a big deal because what they found when they began to do some auditing is the Doge is still working their way through government, is they're finding that there was illegal aliens getting these loans and getting guarantees from the government when they weren't even citizenships and not entitled to it. So they have now put very clearly defined policies in place to prevent any of this from ever happening again. One American News reported on this. It says, tonight, Real America with Dan Ball, former Trump EPA transition team member Steve Milloy, how did the administration convince 7 of the world's most powerful tech companies to foot the multi-billion-dollar bill for their own infrastructures? It's about electricity, power. If they're going to build AI, they got to bring their own power plant. Take a listen.
This is a bold, great move to take on tech giants and say, look, you're not going to stick the bill to the American people. You guys need to pay for new infrastructure so our damn utilities don't go up. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's no question about it. It's a great move. It's long overdue. You know, for the past 20 years, we've been destroying our grid with the climate hoax and green new energy scam, wind, solar, batteries. That has crapped up our grid. We are no longer prepared to support the burgeoning AI industry and the reindustrialization of America. So the fact that President Trump is going to make make big tech, provide its own power, which it's got plenty of money to do. It may take a little bit of time, but it's got plenty of money.
Exactly.
And it's the right thing to do, especially since big tech was behind the climate hoax to start with.
So that's good news. That way, these new factories and everything that are being built right now, with the trillions of investment coming to the United States, is going to be building their own additional power that we need. We are behind on power, and I'm glad to see that these companies will be producing their own power. We are hearing they may have excess that they can sell back into the grid, so that would even add to our grid supply, which I think is a great thing. Rapid Response 47 posted this. Energy Secretary Chris Wright slams the Biden administration for abusing the strategic petroleum reserve. Let's listen to what Chris has to say. I've got a couple of videos of him. Watch.
We have about 415 million barrels in storage right now. Very unfortunately, the Biden administration drained almost 300 million barrels out, mostly to lower gasoline prices for a midterm election without disruptions in energy flows. That's not what the SPR is about. The SPR is about this, when we have short-term disruptions in flows to replace those flows. But Dana, we will simultaneously sell this oil in the near term when it's needed and buy long-term oil, meaning say 12 months down the road, and we'll pull out 170 million barrels and we'll put back in 200 million barrels in the next year. So we'll actually have more oil in our SPR a year from now than we do today. Okay. That's the responsible way to use it.
Okay, and then the next video.
Well, with President Trump's leadership here, the military is going at full speed. You know, this is an operation that'll take weeks, not months. Every day, enormous progress is made. We're destroying their ability to threaten the United States troops in the region, to threaten their neighbors, and ultimately to threaten energy markets. They were going the opposite direction, right? Massively expanding their missile program, pushing ahead with a nuclear program. If this can had been kicked down the road one more administration, we would end with an Iran that would be ensconced forever with nuclear weapons in that region. Simply unacceptable. So President Trump has been working to, through negotiations, through every effort possible to deliver the right result here. But ultimately, the only option on the table, and I believe firmly it is the right option, is to destroy their military ability to threaten their neighbors and the Straits. But it's a weeks-long operation. It's not days. It's not months.
I just have one comment to say about this. As this operation has been going on in Iran, It has interrupted Iranian oil, but it's not necessarily interrupted the oil the rest of the world. However, here in America, everyone has seen the gasoline prices soar. The U.S. isn't reliant upon any Iranian oil. Why are our petroleum companies here at home raising the prices on the citizens here when this doesn't affect any of us? These questions need to be asked because we've been seeing this across the country. And so what we see is we see petroleum companies shooting prices through the roof like a rocket, but when it comes time to lower those prices, it comes down like a parachute. It's ultra slow, right? So I want to see a little bit more done here at home to keep that under control, because we don't have any refineries on fire. We don't have any disruptions of our current oil supply. We are the largest energy market in the world. We produce more oil than any other nation. And I don't see any reason why we should be dealing with this when we're not clearly even affected by it. So just a side note from me there. Donald Trump posted this. This was an article in Just the News. Trump targeted by 4 FBI codenamed counterintel probes that ensnared hundreds of Americans. So the FBI had 4 different operations going on where they were investigating anybody that they thought was related to Trump. Of course, they were looking into him. And it says counterintel probes, and these probes were being done everywhere. So they were going through phone records and everything else of all kinds of people. A lot of members of Congress were gone through and targeted. And there's going to be a lot more information coming out. The members of Congress are very upset because they had all their information exposed by these agencies. And there wasn't an active warrant to give them the right to go after the information. So violation of a lot of rights there. One American News reported this. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth orders a Pentagon review of the military's legal system, calling for a hard reset to cut bureaucracy and better support the warfighter. Let's take a listen to what he says, and I have a comment.
And War Secretary Pete Hegseth calls for a ruthless, no excuses review of the department's legal support functions and operations. Hegseth released a video on Wednesday directing the Pentagon to conduct an alignment assessment of the department's legal support system, claiming it's in need of a hard reset. Well, the secretary said while this system is vital for the military to have fast and accurate legal advice for operations, the bureaucracy has grown too bloated. Well, he called for cuts to the red tape and argued military lawyers should handle the laws of war, while civilian lawyers deal with lawsuits outside the military system.
But the priority is maximum support to the warfighter. And this includes reviewing active, reserve, and guard components. Are we using reserve civilian talent smartly? Is guard legal education prepping folks for the full spectrum of operations? Everything gets measured against one standard. Does it make us more lethal in competition, in crisis, or in combat?
Hegseth gave department leaders 45 days to finalize their reports. He said after this, the plan is to implement these changes within 6 months.
So what does this mean? It means that they're going to clean out all the bureaucratic nonsense within the legal system of the military. Why is this important and why now? It's important because what's coming throughout this year is going to be military justice. We are going to get to a place of tribunals, and he wants all of the bureaucratic nonsense cleared out so that we can streamline those operations and justice can be carried out. Watch for this to be even more important in the months ahead as we begin to see justice served military style. U.S. General Ginkenwich details 4 priorities for troops in Europe. This is interesting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Europe after we listen to this.
Given this environment, U.S. European Command is focused on 3 priority missions. The first of these is protecting the U.S. homeland. To do this, U.S. European Command works closely with NORAD and U.S. Northern Command to monitor and secure the strategic approaches to North America. Allies help with this by sharing intelligence, strengthening our early warning, and enhancing our ability to respond to potential threats. In the North Atlantic and in the Arctic, they help us monitor Russian and Chinese activity, including subs and long-range bomber patrols. Together, we ensure these capabilities are unable to threaten the U.S. or our interests in this hemisphere. Our second mission is to serve as a platform for projecting U.S. combat power, both in and beyond Europe. Our forces, bases, and infrastructure take advantage of the continent's strategic geography and allow the United States to rapidly move forces, sustain operations, and provide the President with diverse military options across multiple theaters. In the past year alone, U.S. European Command increased pressure on the Shadow Fleet with the seizure of MV Bella, enabled strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities during Midnight Hammer, and facilitated strikes on ISIS-affiliated terror groups in Africa. This mission continues today with support to Operation Epic Fury in Iran. Our third mission area is positioning the NATO alliance to deter and defend. Given the possibility of simultaneous conflict in multiple theaters, a strong NATO allows the United States to redirect focus while still protecting our European interests. This requires allies to step up, and they're doing just that. Allies are increasing defense spending and building their readiness to assume primary responsibility for the conventional defense of Europe. This shift requires continued investment in a robust and resilient defense industrial base that can deliver the required military capabilities at scale. As the character of war continues to evolve, U.S. European Command is working directly with NATO allies, industry, and the Joint Force to capture the lessons of contemporary conflicts.
So we talked about three things there that were important. One is protecting the homeland. So that's any threats coming to the Western Hemisphere. Number two, increasing the lethality and effectiveness of military action in and around Europe. Okay, and then number three was coordinating with NATO in a stronger alliance. Why is all this important? It's important because as we're getting rid of the cabal in each of these different areas of the world, whether it be isolated parts of the Western Hemisphere and the Americas, like Venezuela and Cuba and these different places, or it be Iran, we're eliminating their places to run and hide. So where do they go? They're going to go where they've long since been entrenched. And unfortunately, that's in Europe. Many leaders of European countries are controlled puppets of the cabal. And you're going to see changes coming there. So this information and these messages are vital because it's about how the war is moving and evolving as we are pinning them down. And we're getting to the end where we can neutralize their capabilities. Again, this is their wartime military capability to hurt us. We have to eliminate this or we can't reset the financial system. So a lot of things going on here. The issues going on with some of these other countries, and I'm going to talk about a few in a minute. We need to take a hard look at. There are problems there. We've had a third of the countries of the world have had their governments and leadership stolen from them through vote cheating systems, of which we have Nicolas Maduro, who is the chief witness of all of this because they were using Venezuelan vote-stealing equipment. You expect to hear a lot more coming from Maduro as what he's talking about. He's talking, and the information he's giving is going to start coming into play. And there's going to be a lot of parts of the world that are going to have to redo everything. You're going to have to hold all new elections. You're going to have to start over. It's what we have to do in order to regain our sovereignty and our freedom. So there's going to be a lot more coming in that regard. I hope this is helpful, just touching on these points. One American News posted another video here about the Trump administration launching investigations into more than a dozen different trading partners. Take a listen.
The Trump administration announces a new investigation into more than a dozen trade partners, including the European Union, Mexico, and Japan. On Wednesday, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said the administration is looking into concerns of structural excess capacity. If the U.S. determines any of those nations impose unfair trade barriers by manufacturing more goods than a country can consume, the White House could retaliate with additional tariffs through the Trade Act of 1974. Greer says a separate Section 301 investigation is also in the works to ensure trading partners are not importing goods made with forced labor.
So there's still a lot of cleanup being done, even among trade. And they talked about forced labor. This ties in with trafficking, human trafficking. So as these investigations are concluding, you're going to see additional tariffs and things issued. Why? Tariffs hold a very important place to protect an economy of a nation. If you were a nation and somebody else in the global market comes in and dumps their product on you for half of what it costs you to produce it, it could put all of your businesses out of place. Out of business. All these businesses could go belly up, right? Why? Because they can't afford to produce that for that cheap price. So tariffs have a place in that it protects the industry of each individual nation against what would be unfair trading practices, which is aggressive behavior trying to wipe out competition. If they can hold the price down low long enough, you can eliminate the competition and then you raise the price to whatever you want it to be. We have seen many nations, businesses doing this around the world, and it's all coming to an end. Trump's saying no more. No more is this going to be allowed, and it's not going to happen here. We've seen many Chinese companies pulling this kind of stunt, of course, probably in concert with the CCP. I'm not pointing fingers at the Chinese people, but there's issues here that got to be cleaned up. And so this is all part of the war against the cabal. The cabal has hit us in every way possible. And this is one of the ways they've actually hit us as a people, is if they can destroy our industries or destroy our capability and our capacity, our economies will absolutely be decimated, and we are dependent on them. So we're being liberated from that so that we're not dependent on this nonsense anymore. Michael Flynn posted this. I thought it was really good. This was a Wall Street Apes reported on it, but it says General Michael Flynn warns the reason we will lose our property is because of the corruption in our own Congress. And there's a little more that he says, but let's watch the video.
Trump will sign an executive order. Those executive orders will not be adhered to. Hell, we can't even get the Republican Party, the Republican in the Senate or the House, certainly the Senate, to pass an ID check for our voting. I mean, that ought to tell everybody everything as how hard this is going to be. And this fight that we are waging internally, as Abraham Lincoln said, we're not going to die because of an overseas threat. We're going to die because of our own suicide. And he said that at the age of 28 years old.
Good point that General Flynn is making there. We all have to stand up and do our part, but we're going to be witnesses, and this isn't just U.S. Congress. You're going to see it in the parliament and legislatures of countries all across the world, where various leaders in those operations were literally working against their very own people of their nation. And it's important that we root that out. It's incredible to see what's happening today. We have a majority we have a Republican House, Republican Senate. So majority of Congress is Republican, and yet they can't even agree to pass stuff, even things as simple as you need citizenship to vote. So really fascinating what we're seeing here. But this is going on in other countries too. I'm talking to many of you as we're having conversations, so I know you're dealing with the same problems, and that is that people have gotten into office through fake voting, corrupted systems, and they're doing whatever they want to do, and they're not representing the people. So We've got a lot of work to do here. Expect over the next 60 to 90 days to hear a lot about voter fraud. Not just in the United States, it's going to go throughout the world. There's going to be a lot of information being poured out about this because if we don't have fair elections, we don't have a country. And this applies to a third of the world that had their country stolen. So amazing. We got a ways to go on this. Donald J. Trump posted this about Australia. Australia is making a terrible humanitarian mistake by allowing the Iran national women's soccer team to be forced back to Iran, where they will most likely be killed. Don't do it, Prime Minister. Give asylum. The U.S. will take them if you won't. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. This, as you can see, this was on March 9th. That was Monday at 8:16 a.m. Take a look at this. Australia grants asylum to 5 members of the Iranian women's national soccer team. This was at 3:50 p.m. So within just a few hours, Australia did the right thing. Thank you, Australia, for doing the right thing for these people so that they don't suffer retribution when they get home. It's amazing what the things we're watching. On to New Zealand now. Some news out of New Zealand. New Zealand's final COVID inquiry has reopened debate over Jacinda Ardern's pandemic leadership, highlighting the lasting damage caused by one of the strictest lockdown regimes in the world. You know what's amazing about it is in the final report, it talked about all the incredible things that happened. Now, I've talked to some of you in New Zealand, so I know that you lived this, okay? This woman was awful for leadership, the things that she was making you do in your country. And as we have learned now since COVID, how much of that was nothing but a farce. How much of that was just about taking further control of the people, decimating their businesses, and making it easier for them to control all of us. Amazing. And we have to stand up. Like I say, every country, Australia, stand up. New Zealand, stand up. All of us need to stand up. The UK needs to stand up. Let's take a look at that for a second. Nigel Farage slams the British Prime Minister for extraordinary lack of support for Trump's Iranian strikes. Nigel Farage slammed the UK Prime Minister Starmer for blocking U.S. use of Diego Garcia military base in the Indian Ocean during the Iran strikes, warning Trump administration about the Chagos deal. And of course, it wasn't just trying to cut us off of the base at Diego Garcia. It was also about cutting off the insurance and stopping all the oil movement through Strait of Hormuz. Starmer's a bad guy. He's a puppet of the cabal, and he's causing a lot of problems for people in the UK. I hope you guys are seeing this because you need to get him voted out of there. Senator Kennedy over here in the U.S. Senate had something to say as he takes some jabs at Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Let's listen to what he says.
The United Kingdom was founded by geniuses, but at the moment it's being run by idiots. I'm not a big fan of the Prime Minister Starmer. Now he says you can use our bases. Thank you very much, it's a little late. We don't need you. He also is trying to give President Trump advice about how to conduct the war. That's a little bit like seeking the advice of a nun about sex.
So I imagine this is only the first of what will be many such types of videos about Keir Starmer. I've actually seen some coming from the UK himself, where there's a multitude of people that are attacking him, as they should. There's some real issues there. Babylon Bee posted this, another little humorous moment. Republicans warn passing the voter ID law, this is the what we call a SAVE Act, it could ruin plans to hand Congress to the Democrats in November. Of course, this is meant to be a joke, but it's actually not a joke. It's actually what they're doing, okay? So we are seeing Republican leadership in the Senate completely stonewall the passage of this bill. They should get rid of the what they call the filibuster and just pass with a simple majority, get it done. Let's see how this plays out. They've got two very important bills, SAVE Act and the Clarity Act. Both of those need to get done, and we need them done within the next 30 days. Wanted to show this video. This is a video talking about what, of course, the topic says, what the cabal has done to the world. Okay? Listen to this exchange here and think about how all this stuff played out for the last 5 years in many parts of the world. Green news scam and all of it. Okay. Okay, some humor there. Hope you had fun with that, like I did, but ridiculous, right? The green news scam has affected all of our nations in crazy, crazy ways. It's time that we're done with it. The carbon credit scam. Oh my goodness! Let's not get started on that one. So we've got a little ways to go. Okay. One American News. Getting back to the topics at hand. President Trump said this: "We are celebrating National Working Moms Day. Since I took office, we've created 300,000 jobs." Listen to what he has to say.
Well, we're here to celebrate Women's History Month today. We also are celebrating National Working Moms Day, a very special day. And since I took office, we've created more than 300,000 jobs, now filled by proud, hardworking American women. It's a record. The number of women-owned businesses increased by 1.2 million last year alone. That's also a record. These are all records. Got a lot of records. Think of that, 1.2 million last year alone, businesses opened by women. Very ambitious people, very, very ambitious, very, very amazing. To support working moms like many in this room, last year we passed the largest tax cuts in American history. So our opponents, as you know, want to raise taxes. We decided to lower taxes. All my life, I've watched politicians. I've only started this about 10 years ago. But I watched politicians, and I watched them so diligently. I loved it. I loved watching. They would say, "We will cut your taxes. We're going to cut your taxes. We'll cut your taxes." Even if they didn't mean it, they said it. The Democrats say, "We will raise your taxes." I've never heard anything. But maybe that's why we won in a landslide. Maybe. But we did cut your taxes.
So this was from earlier today at an event held at the White House with he and the First Lady. They actually signed a document highlighting the celebration of women and their contribution. And I wanted to share this particular video that came from the event of one of those women. Take a look.
It's a real honor to be here today. Yes, I'm a 6-time Olympic medalist, 3 of them gold, but the title, I'm most proud of his mom. Thank you. Yes. My journey to motherhood was a 2.5-year process through IVF. And I was constantly told that as soon as I became a mom, my career in athletics was going to be over. I was never going to reach the Olympic podium again. Mentally, physically, I could never get my body and my mind back. And I think the ultimate way to tell somebody that, they'll never do it, say don't do it, and I'm going to go out and do it. That's just how it goes. The ultimate dream I had was to become a mom and then be able to stand on the Olympic podium. And this year I got to do that with my 1.5-year-old son. Thank you. Yes. So being able to earn these 2 bronze medals, they feel like gold. They really do. He is my gold medal and will always be for the rest of my entire life. As a legal immigrant competing for the United States of America, a country that has adopted me, it's one of the greatest honors I've had in my entire life. Having my 1-year-old son chase me around the Olympic podium, another huge honor and a dream come true. I want to encourage every single mother out there to follow your dreams and don't let anybody put limits on what you believe you can do. The only Olympic medalists we're actually allowed to award what's called the Order of ECOS. So every Olympic medalist in the United States gets an Order of ECOS that they get to hand to somebody in honor and recognition of somebody who's made a meaningful contribution to their journey to the podium, because Olympic medals are never achieved alone. So I am here today, and I'm so honored to present this, my Order of ECOS medal, To you, Donald Trump. Thank you. So we only get one, but I want to recognize the support and the impact you've had on women's sports throughout the Olympic movement, specifically standing up to keep biological women in women's sports, to keep the field of play safe and allow for fair competition. Furthermore, because your policies are creating greater access to IVF, so families like mine can continue to grow as I look to become and expand my family again, I believe this actually makes you the first president in history to ever be awarded an Order of Ukos as well. So thank you.
So an amazing moment there. The gold medalist in the bobsled, amazing. It is awesome to see these great things that are going on. Amidst all the challenges of the world and when the storm is raging, we wanted to share some of these moments so you could realize, you know what, humanity's still alive. We're all still here. We're still able to take care of each other and do great things for one another. And this was a perfect example today of just that. As we kind of get to the conclusion of today's episode, I wanted to share another thing here that really, I think, highlights the fact that humanity is in good hands. An elderly man named Richard came out of retirement to deliver food for DoorDash because he and his wife were struggling to pay their bills. A customer watched on her doorbell camera as he slowly climbed the steps to deliver her order. She later learned that he was working again in his 80s just to get by. She gave him a $200 tip and started a fundraiser. Strangers stepped in, raising over $80,000 to help him retire again. Sometimes the internet gets it right. Let's watch this. So there he is dropping that off. And I thought it was amazing what she did for him. We can all do that for each other. There is great abundance coming, amazing abundance. When we get done with this war, which, you know, we talked about some of the kinetic parts of that today, the reset is going to be so phenomenal on the other side of this. It will be high income. Universally, everyone will have sufficient and beyond for their needs. This is going to be a beautiful time in the world as we are entering the golden age. And I'm super excited to be with you on this journey, to be a witness of these events as we chronicle these each and every week, of the events unfolding right now. We are witnessing the most incredible time in history, when the entire world is being liberated from tyranny, when we're getting back our sovereignty, getting back our freedom. It is amazing. So let's not be down and discouraged about March Madness and the goings on. That will come to an end as well. And we will usher in Easter, a time of renewal and reinvigoration of all things. I look forward to that with great anticipation. So for all of you that are listening tonight and around the world, regardless of the time, thank you for watching these videos. I do have a limited amount of time on my schedule where I have been able to do some consulting for those of you that are trying to get your projects prepared and ready for the coming release of project funds. If you can find some time on that schedule, you're welcome to go there. There's a link on our website at EnochGS. It's Enoch Global Services. Go to enochgs.com. I believe it's near the bottom of the first page, and there is a link there to the calendar so that you can schedule something. I made a change before Christmas last year to remove the normal price of consultation and to make it a donation for those that really need some help but cannot afford it. I'm continuing that donation schedule that you can still do it for the cost of a donation to make it more accessible to more people. I hope this is helpful. That's why we do these things. Once we get into full project mode later this year, I'm probably not going to have time to do this anymore, but I am grateful for the time that I've had to do it now and to get to know each and every one of you. You're magnificent people. Your hearts and minds have been prepared. Your whole life you've been prepared for this and even beyond. It is no accident. It's no coincidence that you live right now, that you were born in a time when you could be here living to witness some of the greatest events that will transpire in Earth's history. When all is said and done, the world will look back and will say, we can't think of a bigger event except maybe the flood itself that was so impactful upon the world in a great and magnificent way. And you're here to usher that in. You are the great ones. You're the noble and great ones. You were saved to be born at this time when you could do this work and you could make it happen and you will bless the world. I get asked all the time, why is your company called Enoch Global Services? And I don't usually talk about this, but Enoch has to do with the fourth great-grandson of Adam, who built the city that they affectionately called Zion, but his city and city of people became so righteous they were taken up into heaven and removed from the earth, and only his son remained, Methuselah, of which Noah was grandson. So it's interesting how the Lord not only blessed Enoch in a mighty way for building such a righteous and beautiful place, but he was also blessed with the fact that it would be his seed that would restore the world, that would bring it back from something like the flood. And Noah and his children did that. So we call it Enoch Global Services in honor of that, because we are here to build heaven on earth. And if you want to build heaven on earth with us, we welcome you to join with us, to do projects, to do great things, to bless the neighbors around you, to make your community better and brighter in every way. And we're working very hard to make that possible, to bring tools and resources so everyone can see their projects realized in a magnificent way. So from all of us here at Enoch Global Services, we thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. Keep going. We are almost there. Just keep going. We've come so far together. Now isn't the time to quit. We have a great time of renewal coming. And this Easter is going to kick all that off with a myriad of events leading up to the 4th of July. And I'm so excited to see this unfold this year. So until next time, until next week, hope you have a wonderful, blessed weekend. May you be joyful and excited about the things that are transpiring, because we are getting there and we are going to rejoice in this together. So until next time, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you. Bye-bye.